My husband thinks he's an absolute genius because he wants to do deceitfulness and try to set me up for failure. Well, guess what? I had a little birdie fly by, land on my shoulder, and whisper into my ear, and it told me everything I needed to know about my husband's little plan. So I decided to get a step ahead of him and do this. Hello readers, I'm Cass. I'm here to vent and delve into the story of my marriage with my husband Charlie. I thought my marriage with Charlie would be dreamy and perfect. I was under the impression that people who are well educated would have their level of education reflected in their behavior. Well, this is not at all true. My husband would boast and brag about him being from a business school and aspiring to have his own business. All he wanted to do was make money, and he was ready to do anything for it, and the worst part about my marriage was that my husband always underestimated that I was dumb just because I'm a librarian and not from a business school like him. It had a bad impact on my self-esteem, and I started to study law secretly to become the best person he desired. Charlie started a travel agency after 3 failed businesses. He lost quite a lot of money from investors. He would scam his clients and cheat them out of money by teaming up with other agencies, such as hotels, lodges, and his practices were unfair, and I knew someday he would get into a lot of trouble. I kept warning him, but he called me dumb. When I was sick, he changed even more and started calling me unattractive. He told me I let myself go and proceeded to cheat on me. I was extremely hurt by his actions, but then decided that everything would be better after I became the person he wanted me to be. Highly qualified, attractive, and he told me that he needed my help, for which we would have to pretend to divorce. It turns out he's trying to trick me and trap me into a web of lies. I know it all sounds a bit dramatic. It even sounds confusing, and I'll have to go into extreme details to explain it to you. So it's not like I didn't have a good educational background. I have a degree in library science, and I personally feel I'm really good at what I do. So I joined as an intern at a very prestigious business school when I was doing my graduation. That's where I met Charlie. Charlie would come up to me and flirt with me whenever he visited the library, and on the last day of my internship, he asked me out for coffee. We started dating, and we were in a relationship for a year after that. One day, he popped the question, and I was young and in love with Charlie, and I thought I knew him really well, so I said yes. He had graduated from an esteemed business school, so at the time I thought, what could possibly go wrong? Charlie wanted us to move to his quaint little hometown. He said he wanted to dive in and start his own business, and I suggested that he should gain professional experience first. He told me that I should not talk about matters I don't know about. We had our wedding in his hometown. Charlie's parents had saved up for the wedding, and he took the money and told me that we should spend as little as possible so we could save money for his business. Well, we got married in a beautiful chapel, and I wore my mother's wedding dress. The wedding only consisted of close family and friends, and the only thing we spent on was food, including the wedding cake, which was quite impressive. Charlie insisted that we stay at his parents' house for a couple months to save money. I got a job as the head librarian at the local middle school. I knew I could have done better in the city, but I accepted my life the way it was, because my marriage to Charlie mattered to me more than being ambitious. I didn't know I was making the biggest mistake of my life. Charlie started a business with his friend, a gym instructor, Mike. He made a slimming tonic that helps people lose weight. Mike was the one who invested in the business, and Charlie spent a huge amount of money on advertising on TV shopping channels. No sane person would buy such products. People who were rich and desperate to lose weight bought the product with the hope of it being a revolution. I'm going to put it plainly. It didn't work at all. No one bought the product again after their first purchase, and it got a lot of negative reviews. Mike could not even afford to invest more money, so he backed out. Charlie fought with Mike, saying he could not just back out. Mike insisted that Charlie return all the money he invested, because he was just putting money in, and Charlie was the brains of the operation. Charlie refused to pay Mike back, so Mike cut ties with Charlie completely, and Mike had a stake in the company, but there's no point because the business was completely at a loss. Charlie blamed the whole failure of his business on Mike. He gave the excuse that business needs time to flourish and he backed out at the wrong time. I kept giving Charlie business ideas, but he turned them all down and called me dumb. He was under a great deal of stress at the time, and I tried to console him and be supportive, but every time I tried to talk to him, he called me stupid and would say I would not understand anything. So I should stop pretending, and he starts to brag about how he was a genius and how nobody would see it. He told me that one day, the people who don't see his vision will be licking his feet when he's successful. He left no opportunity to remind me how dumb I am and that he's the brains of the relationship. He kept degrading me over my education and the fact that I was just a librarian. I think he was insecure about what I was earning, and he could not really match it. He wanted to show me my place, and it grew into his habit and was damaging to my self-esteem. I told him I wanted to continue learning, but he hated the idea and told me I did not have the capability. No matter what I did, it was never enough for him. He would always think I was just brainless, and I didn't want him to be pessimistic about ambitions. So I secretly joined night school. In the evening, I would go to a 2-hour class and began to study law. The library was the perfect atmosphere for me to study, and I worked and studied simultaneously, and it was going great for me. Charlie finally started a stable business after 2 more failed ideas and a lot of disappointed investors. Charlie opened up a travel agency, which I would not say was very ethical. Charlie cheated all his customers, and he scammed his clients for money. He would make below-average bookings that were non-refundable, and he made all his clients sign a contract in advance, saying that the company wasn't responsible for any troubles they faced after the booking. There was also a clause that said he wasn't responsible for any extra charges levied during their travels. He called himself a genius for his effortless business plan, and I kept on bringing up that he was doing wrong and he could be more honest in what he was doing. He told me that he would not make as much money if he were honest, and it's that simple, and things were better off the way they were. I told him that he'd fall into a trap one day if he did not change his ways. He told me that my ideas were simply unrealistic and that everyone's corrupt when it comes to business practices. He said that the only way rich people make money and that there's no other way. He humiliated me all the time and told me I would never understand when I expressed an issue with the way that he was running his business. Charlie, made money by having ties with the places he booked. He would overcharge, and they would charge them extra during their visit, and if anybody complained, he would show the clause he signed. No one really read it. He would promise luxury, but the clients would be provided with below-average services. He would invest the money the clients give him and pay the hotels and lodging late after receiving returns. Many times, he would even lose a lot of money. Overall, there were more gains than losses, but it was all money earned by cheating in unfair ways. After earning a substantial amount of money, he bought a house in his town and we moved out to his parents' house. His parents were literally a pain, so I was really happy we moved out. He bought a penthouse in the city nearby, and he loves vintage cars and has slowly built a collection. He even made a garage for all of his cars. We started living luxuriously, and Charlie just started going out on a lot of business trips and vacations with his friends. He never took me anywhere, and when I asked him why, he said he was ashamed to take me out because I wasn't as bright as he was. One day, I decided I would go on a trip, all by myself. I just wanted to take my time for myself, so I went on a tour of Southeast Asia during the Christmas holidays. Charlie hated the idea, but I went without his help. He challenged me, saying that I would not be able to survive without him and told me not to call him crying when I needed something. So I went on the trip and successfully returned, but when I came back, I found out that I had contracted salmonella because of something I've eaten. I was very sick, and Charlie refused to take care of me and had an I told you so attitude. He told me to leave the house and come back when I was better, because he didn't want to fall sick as well, and I had no other option but to go to my mother's. My mom took care of me, but I wasn't feeling better for a really long time. Charlie never called and did not even come to visit me. He would not even pick up my phone calls, and we had completely lost contact in those months. When I felt a little better, I went back home and resumed work and my studies. I was still weak, but I had to go to work. Charlie questioned why I was still working and ordered me to quit my job. He said that even though I was brainless, I at least had beauty. He told me that I had let myself go and that it was necessary for him to have an attractive wife, and I told him that I could not quit my job, and explained that I was very, very sick and was not in a position to take care of myself, and my illness had made me lose weight and made me get out of shape as well. I lost a lot of hair. My skin, it looked so tired. I could not look at myself in the mirror, but Charlie made it worse instead of making me feel beautiful like he should have. He would come home every day and make fun of me and remind me about how unattractive I was. I immediately took measures to take care of myself after that, and I started pushing myself too hard, trying to juggle everything, and I was coming home from work one day. I saw Charlie with another woman, Millie. I followed them without them noticing, and they went to the penthouse, and it was just them. Luckily, I have a spare key to the house that day, and I went inside after them to find out that Charlie was cheating on me with Millie. I was furious upon discovering that he's a cheater. So Millie left, and Charlie starts giving excuses as to why he's cheating. He told me that I wasn't attractive anymore, and the only reason he married me was because of my looks in the first place, and I was heartbroken. I didn't know what to do. He tried to apologize, but I could not bear to be around him. Despite everything that happened, the idea of leaving him never came to my mind. I just loved him a lot, and was afraid to leave my life with him. I was hopeful that if I met his expectations, everything would be okay. I was about to graduate with a law degree soon, and I had regained my fitness. At the time, I took everything upon myself. I wanted to be better, not for myself, but for him. Charlie's misdeeds caught up with him. He scammed a person named Jonathan, a well-known lawyer, who found loopholes in his contract that he would get him into legal trouble. Charlie came home and was panicked because of the whole situation. I tried to calm him down, and he knew that a lawsuit would seize all his assets. He thought about it all night and devised a plan. The next day, he came up to me and told me he had an idea. He told me that we would have a quick mutual divorce, while he pretended to make a settlement with Jonathan. I believed him and decided that it would be an effective idea as long as we looked into it well and legally. Well, I get a call from an employee from Charlie's office, Steve. He revealed to me that the fake divorce was just a way to get me to agree to a mutual divorce without having to pay me. He sent me a copy of the papers he got from his financial advisor, and it turns out that he took out a personal loan to pay for the money that he's lost during bad investments. Charlie made a legal document with the help of a financial advisor, who would transfer all his debt to me. His plan was to trick me into signing the document under the pretext of transferring his assets to me. I was shocked at the amount of deceit. If it wasn't for Steve, I would have signed those damn documents blinded. I went to a quiet spot in town and just cried the entire evening. I decided that I would give him a taste of his own medicine. I wanted to take revenge. I was on the verge of completing my law degree, and I could not believe he thought I was so dumb that I would fall into his trap. Now I needed to test how clever he was. The next day, I went to meet his financial advisor, Faith. I threatened that, well, what she was doing was highly illegal, and that I was being tricked into signing his debts to me. Faith was surprisingly cooperative and agreed to help me. You see, she was a financial advisor. The legal document was made by a lawyer at her firm. So, I replaced the document with a prenup and had to, have the documents replaced, telling Charlie that there was minor changes. Charlie believed it and did not even bother to read it. He had the prenup notarized and was convinced everything was going according to his little plan. Meanwhile, he was giving me false promises and lying to me, saying that the second time we'll marry, we'll have a grand wedding, and it'll be a wedding we'll never forget. I played along with it. I graduated with my JD degree soon after, and you know what? I was absolutely thrilled. We filed a petition for divorce. Charlie hired a divorce lawyer to make the divorce proceedings quick and easy. Throughout the whole divorce proceedings, I was playing along and doing exactly what he told me to do, without letting him know my real plan. It was all tedious and time-consuming, and much to Charlie's surprise, the lawyer took out the prenuptial agreement that we signed. I'm sure you're all wondering what was in it. Well, it was actually exactly what Charlie had promised. All the assets, including the house, the penthouse, all his cars, along with the garage, were now mine. I could see Charlie's face starting to turn pale. He looked at me and asked me when we had signed a prenup. I pretended to look confused for a while, gaslighting him, of course, and asked him if we weren't doing exactly what he wanted. We finalized our divorce, and unfortunately for Charlie, there was absolutely no going back. After a lot of screaming and shouting, I finally revealed that I knew about his plan all along. I also revealed that I got my JD degree, and now I know a thing or two about law. Charlie was furious, and accused me of betraying him and concealing from him that I was pursuing further education. He threatened to drag me into court for everything I did, and I told him I could do the same, and he could land in even more trouble. His expression changed, and he tried to make attempts to make me change my mind about the divorce. I told him never to contact me now that our divorce was final. Charlie was now forced to pack his crap and leave the house that he bought with the money he earned from his business. He was also forced to give up everything he owned. Of course, I did get a lot of distressed phone calls from him, begging me to get back together with him. I sent him a long, detailed email just explaining why I decided to leave him and reminded him of the pain he caused me throughout the years. He called me multiple times to apologize, and I told him it's too late. I'm planning to move into the penthouse because I'm more of a city girl. I didn't really plan what I would do with my career, so now I'm going to focus on that and close the chapter with Charlie. Anyways, wish me luck, guys. Update number 1. Hey guys, I'm back. A lot's happened since my divorce, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about the details, and you want some more. I'm really overwhelmed by the comments I got, and I did not expect so many people to read them. I'm still working at the library for now, and I'm currently trying to land an internship at a good law firm. As for Charlie, there's a lot of drama in his life, and I'm ready to spill all the beans. I found out from Steve what his actual plan was, which I was oblivious to. Charlie wanted to divorce me and pass all the debt on to me because he was in a lot of financial issues. He knew he was in legal trouble, and he was trying to get his hands clean and start again on a clean slate. He wanted to further his relationship with Millie, because he wanted to sell off his company to Millie's mom, Stella, who owns a reputed travel company. Millie and Charlie made a plan to get me to divorce Charlie, so that they could live together happily ever after, because apparently she was so madly in love with him. Millie's love for him started vanishing after discovering that I had all the assets from the divorce. She would fight and blame him for being so dumb. That's right, guys. Payback is so damn real. Stella conducted due diligence and discovered that Charlie's business has a legal case against it. She found out what a fraudster Charlie really is and told Millie to completely cut ties. Millie did not have any reason to stay with him anyway, so she left. Charlie's business was not doing so well because he had already lost credibility of so many people. He was badly in debt due to the failed investments that he had made, and he was due to pay a lot of people too. On top of that, he had a fight with a legal case. His company had no assets, and all the assets he personally owned are now mine. His employees started leaving because they could see the doom. He was already known in the market for 3 failed businesses and unethical practices, so nobody was willing to invest. Charlie had to live with his parents, and Jonathan pressed charges against him for fraud and found many loopholes in his contract that Charlie did not even think of. Jonathan won the case. Charlie, well, he didn't, because he delivered and had to pay huge compensation to Jonathan. He was finding it hard to make the payment, so he had to shut down the company and sell the stuff he had in his office to pay for everything. Charlie kept calling me to get back together with him. His parents were kicking him out because his, quote, business ideas were so damn humiliating. Everybody in town was making fun of him, and he was living in the mercy of his parents despite going to business school. not so much of a genius, after all, is he? I guess you could say Charlie is now at rock bottom, and now he's forced to look for a job because he's clearly incompetent to run a business. He's realized that earning money the right way was going to be very difficult for him. He's still trying to get me back together with him, and it's kind of entertaining how he told me I was too dumb, and he also called me unattractive, and now he's on his knees, begging, just to get back together because I had all his beloved property. To be honest, I feel a lot better after divorcing him. Whatever decision I took to divorce him was actually in a fit of rage, and my life changed in the matter of months. I was doubting whether I was doing the right thing or not at the time, and I knew what was going on would have serious legal repercussions. I was so consumed by the betrayal that I did not know how far I would go to teach him a lesson. I'm happy my plan worked, and he's bearing the brunt of it. I'm so happy I freed myself from the shackles of my blinding love for him. I'm not saying that it was completely his fault. I know I should have stood up for myself, and I should not have taken his bullcrap. I'm happy for myself, and I'm proud of the person I've become, even if I used unfair means to get here. It still bothers me, but I can't do anything to change it. I'm not wrong, but I'm not entirely in the right. I'm just going to try to move on from this and make a good life for myself. Anyways, thank you for reading my story. I hope this comes as a lesson. I mean, the fact that OP's husband hit rock bottom, it was weird to me how a lot of the comments were actually feeling sorry for him. I mean, he brought this upon himself, so I don't really know what there is to feel sorry about. He wasn't a good guy, he was deceitful, and he basically tried to put all the debt onto OP, and that's not okay. But at the end of the day, it looked like he lost. I do want to ask you guys this: if you were in OP's position, would you have played the same cards the way OP played it, or would you have shuffled the deck up and played your hand a little differently? Let me know your comments, so drop them down below in our comment section right downstairs. Thank you for joining me on today's video. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it, and if you do enjoy it, and you want more daily videos just like today with hundreds and hundreds of different topics, go ahead, click that subscribe button, guys. Thank you so much for that. I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.